Hi guys, so today what we're going to be doing is going to be recreating a graffiti art piece using Adobe Photoshop. So the piece we're going to be doing similar to would be this one right here. It's just going to be the letters with the bubbles on the outside, sort of like this one. We're not going to do the drippy part on there. If you want to do the highlight accents, you can. We're just going to do something simple today. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your Adobe Photoshop. I'm using CS5 Extended. Go to your file and start a new one. I have it usually at the default Photoshop size with the width being 7 inches and the height being 5. I like to change my resolution to 300 just because I like it better that way. And I'm going to title mine. It's going to be Graffiti 1. Hit OK. Yay, you have your board. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our text tool and we're going to make our first rectangle. So in that one, we're going to put our first word, love, and we're using the Rufa font. You can use whatever font you want. You can do however you want. I'm just using this font because it's more of a graffiti style. I have several of them. You can get them online. They're not that expensive. There are some that you can even have for free. But I'm using graffiti font because that's sort of the feel we're going for here. So, I have mine that way, and let's see. Normally it's bold like that, so it looks pretty. But you don't, honestly, you're not going to end up bolding it like I am, like I just showed there, because when you go into here and you change your, we're going to warp it, and it's going to say that you can't complete the request using a faux bold style. So in order to do the warp, you're going to want to hit yes to remove the bold on it. So it makes it a little smaller, but who cares? So we're going to want to do is, this one has an arc to both of the words. So we're going to do something a little bit similar to that. So for the first word, we're going to use an upper arc. Just because it automatically does a lot of the work for us. And I'm setting mine to 82 because I like the way it looks. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. And move it back into view. Cool. Alright, and then you're going to take your text tool again and make your other one and add your second word. And yeah, look, see how it looks a lot smaller than that one? That's just because we haven't warped it yet. So again, if you wanted it to be bold and we weren't warping it, you just hit the T over here and it would warp it, or it would bold it, but we're not doing that today. We're going to be warping. So for this one, we're going to want to do a lower arc. And we're going to change that to 82. You want them to match unless you want that asymmetry. I don't. I want it slightly more symmetrical, so yay, there it is. Okay, so we have our words. You notice that this one arcs a lot more because it's a bigger word, and it doesn't look quite like the piece I have here. You see that it's tilted a lot more, so we're going to mimic that a little bit more. So what we're going to want to do is go into Edit, and we're going to go to Transform and Rotate. And then I'm just going to rotate it to whatever makes it look good to you. You can do it however you want, and you can move it while you're still in your transform, and it'll move it wherever you want. I'm going to rotate it a little bit more and have it a little more off-center. Okay, so that is done. I apply my transformation. I'm going to go in here and change my distance between my letters a little bit, go to 25 instead of 50. I just like them to be a little bit closer together for the bottom one, just because the word is so much bigger. And reposition that. And I think, just for the fun of it, I'm going to rotate my top word as well. It just feels like for some reason it needs to be at least a little bit rotated. Just because, you know, sorry, there it's a little bit, you know, off center. So we just don't want it to be too perfect. That's just weird. Okay, there we go, and done, and apply. Okay, so we have our 2 words. I'm going to move them up a little bit. There we go. Actually, I'm going to move them over. I want them not quite, but close-ish to touching. You'll see why in a little bit. Okay, so now we have our 2 words. So now that they're warped as we want them, we're going to go ahead and merge them together. So I'd like to do is when you right click your layer is you'll notice it won't let you do anything down here. There's nothing down here for merging. The reason why we do that, or the reason why it does that, is because it's still set as a type and you can't merge type. So I'm going to rasterize each type. And then now that I've done that, I can merge down. Of course, it changes the name to the one that was lower. I'm going to, you don't have to edit it, but I do just because I want to know exactly what it says. Okay, so now it's all one piece. It's all one piece. You can move it around. It's all one. Okay, so we got our words in there. We're at the very beginning. I don't know why I keep clicking on that one. So yes, we have our words. Next thing we're going to do is the drop shadow you see here. So what you're going to want to do is double click over here on the layers palette. You don't want to click on the words itself because it'll make it so you can edit the words again. You want to click off just off to the right of it. Double click. And that'll bring up your layer style. So we're going to want to go to drop shadow. And right now you can't really see it very well, but that's just because we haven't done anything to it yet. So the first thing we're going to want to do to that is change the opacity to 100%. We want it black. We don't want it to look like a shadow. It's going to be a protrusion basically. I like to then go and change my angle a little bit. You can't really tell exactly where it's coming from yet, but we'll get there. I like to take the spread and put it all the way to 100% because now it's very opaque and we want it. It's just really important. Just do it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my distance and I'm going to move it a bit. And it looks like now that it's separated from it makes it actually look like a shadow. We don't want that, but we're doing this for a reason. Because then we're going to go to size and we're going to increase the size of our drop shadow so that it looks like it's basically a protrusion. I like the way it looks as it is right now, so actually I might move the distance a little. Yeah. Good. Okay, so I like it perfect that way. I think it looks good, so I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do an outline in the pink before we do the bubbles. And it all looks like one piece, but it's not. We're going to do the outline in pink, but before we can do that, we're going to have to rasterize this layer. If we don't rasterize it, let's say I go put a bubble over here, it's going to give it a drop shadow. We don't want anything else to have a drop shadow. The only thing that needs a drop shadow were the letters. So let's go ahead and go back in our history and get rid of that. We're going to right click our layer, and I'm going to convert it to a smart object. See, now it's all, you can't play with it or anything. You can't edit. So, a lot of things, they don't let you do anything until it's rasterized, which is why, even though you're converting it to smart object to get rid of, or not get rid of, but to basically glue that style on there, you have to rasterize it in order to be able to do any other edits. So you're going to want to right click again and do rasterize layer. So now you can do whatever you want and it won't be affected by the style. So I'm going to create, no, I'm leaving that there. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to double click on our layer again. And we're going to want to go down to stroke. Our stroke is what's going to give us the outline. Now right now it shows the stroke is black, and obviously that doesn't work for us because the drop shadow is already black. I saved my color that I wanted here. You're going to want to know the actual name of the color if you have a color in mind. Otherwise, you can play with the palette. So I go here to color, and I'm going to just put in the color that I have there so it has it saved. Or you can, click around and whatever. So obviously we don't want that small of an outline because you can barely see it. Honestly, you can have your outline as big or small as you want, but in this case I want it bigger, like a lot bigger. So I like to set mine to about 25 or so. I really like the fact that you can see that some of the pink from one word is merged with the pink from the other word. So it has that nice outline on the outside. You can do a little bit more, I guess. I don't know. I think 30 is a little overkill for me for this particular one. Maybe I'll go to 26. I think that looks good. So I'm going to leave it there. So now we have our outline. I know on my original one the outline is pretty thin on there, and you can do it that way, but honestly it's up to you. I might do that one that way just for fun of it. Get a little bit thinner. I set at 21, so it's thinner, like highlighter thinner, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the bubbles. Well, it's the last thing we're going to do, so it's the next thing. Anyway, so I know we don't need to at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and convert this back to a smart object and rasterize layer. It's just habit. The more you do it, the more you remember to keep it as a habit, and then you don't have to worry about messing anything up. So I need to create another layer between the one with the words and the background. So I'm going to click on the background and then hit the new layer icon down here. So I have my new layer, and you're going to want to hit your brush up here. And I have mine on a specific brush right now, but what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reset the brush back to a normal one. And I'm going to increase the size of my brush using the left and right brackets on my keyboard to about 70. And over here to your right on your little toolbar, you're going to want to click on the one that looks like a brushes, and we're going to want to go play with the scatter. So I like to have the scatter quite a bit out there. I don't like my count to be too high. Jitter isn't important, doesn't affect it at all. Then I like to go to the shape dynamic because I like to have different sizes for my circles, because if you notice when you go over here, not all of them are the same size. Obviously you don't want them all the same size, they're supposed to look like splatter bubbles. See, not the same size. Anyway, so I like to go there because if you don't put your shape dynamic, they're all the same size. That's boring. Angle, unimportant, doesn't affect anything. Leaves a roundness at 0. You don't want them to look squashed. So, the size jitter, I like to keep all the way at 100, and then minimum diameter, you can have whatever you want. The control says pen pressure. You don't need to change it. It doesn't really matter. We're not using a pen on a tablet anyway, so not important. I'm going to change my diameter a little bit, make it a little, about 25% works good for me. So you'll see it still looks like a regular circle, but when you click and drag, you'll, probably want to change my, when you click and drag, I'll change the color back in a second. When you click and drag, you see you'll get your bubbles. So I'm going to undo that real quick and change my color to the pink like it should be, because you want it to match the color of your stroke. That's kind of the point. So then I go and I can make as many circles as I want. You know, all my bubbles. I like to try to keep it to the outside. You can do some on the inside. See, there's some here, but I like to try to keep it like almost in a line. Like you can literally go in here and just go like that, and it'll just make a line for you. That's fine. You can do it that way if you want to. I don't, because I like to have a little bit of variety. And because you can change how many bubbles you have in an area. Because if you, let's say, go like this, and that's too many bubbles, you can Control Z and get rid of it and redo it. Otherwise, if you just do a big line, you're gonna have to redo all of it again. This it just sucks. Anyway, so I'll do a little bit in the middle here, a little bit around, and as you noticed on not this one, but this one, we have two different colors for our bubbles. That's totally fine. When I did this one for my friend Zach, I have two different colors of bubbles too, and that's fine. So, let's say we'll change the color. I want something different, so maybe I'll do a dark purple, and we'll do like a couple here and there. You don't want to go overkill with this other color because it's just a highlight or an accent color. It's not the main thing going on. So there we go. Plus, having this as a second layer and not the top layer makes it so that when you have those pink bubbles in there, it looks like it's connected to the stroke, even though it's not, as opposed to looking like it's underneath the layer. It isn't. I mean, it technically is, but you can't tell. Anyway, so there's my purple on there with my pink, little girly for this one, but you can change it to whatever color you want. You can go all goth and be like red and black or something, whatever, it's your choice. So play around with it, have fun with it, do a whole variety of different styles. You can do different fonts, different sizes for the fonts. You can rotate it however you want, add whatever colors you want. You don't have to do exactly like me. When I went and do the tutorials so I could learn how to do something, I never do it exactly how they do because I never use the same picture. If I'm doing a photo edit, I don't always use the same colors that they're using. Just play around and have fun. This is your project, your bit of fun that you're doing, so do what you want. Okay, so that's this piece, and that's it for now. If you have any questions, concerns, or something you want to see different, you have anything you think I could have done better, drop me a message or leave a comment. So until next time, see you guys.